Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Tami from Acclaimed.
Who are you?
I am Mac from Energuy.
And who are you?
I'm Kevin from Acclaimed Heating, Cooling, and Furnace Cleaning.
And we meet for a weekly Facebook Live, and this week we have a special guest, Mac. And he's going to help us with part of this question. You ready for the question, Kevin?
I'm ready for the question.
Okay. Dear Kevin, I heard you on CBC Radio on Wednesday, and I have a few questions for you about the home energy evaluation and government rebates. You had mentioned that HRVs can add efficiencies to some homes, but I'm wondering about how that would work. Can I get an HRV if I have a boiler system? Also, does Acclaimed do energy evaluations? How would I go about booking this? Signed, full of questions.
Full of questions.
Yeah.
Well, I can answer a lot of those questions. And Mac is here from Energuy. We've been working with Mac closely now for a couple of weeks, getting all these energy things figured out. And so Mac is going to be able to better answer those a lot. But in terms of the HRV and what it does and how you would install it.
And do we do it, first of all?
Yeah, we do the HRVs. Like we do 3-4 things in that energy rebate program. So we do tankless water heaters, the HRVs, and what else do we do? There's another thing. I can't remember what
Furnaces?
it is. Yeah, that's what it is. Furnaces.
Yeah.
The most obvious one. But an HRV, it stands for heat recovery ventilator. So what it does is it recovers heat that is blowing outside of your house to the air coming inside. And it basically exchanges the air in your house. So it's taking air out of your house. It's got a fan in it, so it sucks air out. And it sucks an equal amount of air into your house. So you're taking a portion of your air out in case it's not very, very clean, you've got too much humidity, that type of thing, and it's bringing it back in. But instead of bringing cold air back in, you're bringing warm air back in, because that air that's in your house that's like 20 degrees is going like this through this heat exchanger, and the air by the time it comes in is much warmer. So it makes things very efficient in terms of getting that air exchange, which affects air quality substantially. And in terms of it, how was that for my portion of the question?
Well, good.
Does that answer it?
Well, except for the other question is, how does Acclaimed do, does Acclaimed do the energy evaluations?
Yes, that's a great question. No, we do not. We consult with basically, it's an energy advisor that's approved by Energuy, and that's a very, very specific, Tammy's going like this, but we've got somebody here that will explain. So you do have to be certified.
Correct.
And we don't do that. That's a very, very specific profession, and it's a very specific skill set. And with that, I'll hand it over for a much better explanation and correction of whatever I said that was wrong.
Yes.
Yep. So we're certified by Natural Resources Canada to do home energy evaluations. So when you buy new appliances in your home, like a fridge, a TV, you'll always get a sticker on the back nowadays that will give you your Energuy rating. So we do something similar like that. We come into your home and we look at the home from top to bottom, looking at insulation levels, windows, heating, cooling equipment, and water heating. And then we'll be able to give your home an Energuy rating, so you can compare your home to your neighbor's home, even if they're completely different ages or sizes.
Yeah, we had the pleasure of having Mac into our house on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And you and a partner came in and did some really neat stuff. So can you walk people that are watching, what that process was?
Mm-hmm. So we start by getting the footprint of the home. So we measure the whole exterior of the outside, as well as we measure every single window and what type of window it is. And then we go into the home and we measure ceiling heights, because we're looking for the house volume. We go down into the basement and we look at the furnace, and in your case you had 2 furnaces. Mm-hmm. We look at your water heating system. We look at insulation levels in the basement, header insulation, and then we look up into the attic insulation. And finally we do a blower door test, which is basically setting up a big fan in the front door and sucking all the air out of the house and blowing it out, depressurizing the home. And then we can walk around and actually feel all the spots where air will be leaking into your home.
Yeah, and you know what? That was it was a really great illustration to see. You actually could feel like around the windows if there was anything. We did find one window because the window wasn't tight and closed, so we closed it up. The thing that you found what I found the most interesting, because our house is fairly new, it's 10 years old, but it was when it was built and when it was renovated, we went for high efficiency everything that we possibly get at that time, because it was it's our forever home, so we were investing in that. But we, on the outlets around the exterior of the house, against those walls, there was a huge amount of drafts that were found. And so you would illustrate that with putting your hand there and you could feel it. And that was one of the things that you also had mentioned that kind of do-it-yourselfers could do to increase the efficiency of your home with that. Can you explain what that was to change out?
So that's a very easy fix. Even if each hole is very tiny for exterior wall plugs, if you add up all of the total plugs that you'll have on exterior walls through the main floor and all upper floors, it actually creates a pretty significant hole, and it's a pretty easy fix. You can go to any home building store and get foam gaskets. They're fairly cheap, so you just take the front plate off the plug, put on the foam gasket, and then screw the front right back on.
And now you also had mentioned something was happening in 2019, something to do with that. What was that category called?
Yep, so Energy Efficiency Alberta is going to be coming out with air sealing companies. So they will come into your home if you opt in for this service for free.
As in this service? Or
for air sealing service.
Okay, and can you have that service done without having an evaluator in your house?
No, you need to have an energy evaluator into your home.
Okay, first, and then, sorry for interrupting.
Yep, so they'll come into your home and they will make your home more airtight, and it's completely free to you. And if they can save you 3 gigajoules through air sealing, then that will count as a measure towards getting that $1,000 bonus for rebates.
That's right. So you touched on something. So if you replace 3 components of your energy elements for energy efficiency, if you increase you gain 3 gigajoules per element, then those 3, so a total of 9 or more gigajoules, then you can qualify for a $1,000 rebate.
That's right. Yeah.
That's over and above each of the elements that you gain.
That's right.
That's a nice bonus on that, and that can count for one of those elements, which is really impressive since that is a free service or close to a free service that you can get for that. Because that kind of aligns a little bit to I kind of relate it to the light bulbs, where people would come into your home and change out your LED light bulbs, and that was a free service also provided by Energy Efficiency Alberta. So I kind of relate those two things as being a great offering. So that's a bonus by having an evaluator in your house. You get that if you qualify, and that's an area that you can gain some efficiency. You can get that done for free. That's neat. Do you have any questions about that, Kevin?
Yeah, I do. So that's rolling out on the 1st.
They haven't announced yet. They're still kind of just ironing everything out, but it's going to be coming in 2019 sometime.
2019 sometime.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So I've got a question for you then in terms of taking advantage of these rebates and how they work. Kind of my understanding, what I was explaining the other day, is that you can have the energy evaluation done now, and you can do these things piece by piece, so that even though that service isn't being offered now, you've got 18 months from the time that you come in to do your service to be able to claim those. So people don't have to be in a hurry. It's okay to wait for something like that to come about.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
And so even if you have your furnace upgraded now, and you say, and we come into the home and we recommend doing some attic insulation.
Right.
Each rebate can be submitted separately. So even if you want to wait a few months to get the attic insulated, you can get that rebate back for the furnace.
Oh, so you don't need to hold all those receipts at one time.
No.
And do them together. Oh, that's nice.
Okay, that's really neat. That's something I didn't know. So that's really, really good.
And what are some other things, Max, that your people are surprised when they have you in to discover in terms of savings? Is there anything that kind of resonates as being a strong point?
Yeah, so attic insulation, especially in the Edmonton area, we found is pretty low. And you could get quite a bit of money back from Energy Efficiency Alberta for topping up your attic insulation, and that would also count towards one of the 3 measures.
And how much? And what is the range that you can save on that rebate for the attic?
So it depends on what insulation level you're starting at and what insulation level you're going to, and the square footage of ceiling area. So it could range anywhere from a couple $100 up to $600-700.
Okay,
yeah.
So quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then you have spoken to Kevin about the hot water on demand as being a huge gain in terms of savings rebates.
Yeah, I'd say that's the biggest rebate that you can get. You're looking at $1,000, I think, plus now. Matt, for the average person that has most people here in Edmonton have the type of water tank that's low efficiency enough to qualify for that big rebate. And so that's the biggest rebate, and certainly your biggest bang for the buck, and that also counts for one of those 3 things.
That's right.
To get that extra $1,000 bonus points.
And then there's also so I think you and I were talking about some of the numbers that people were seeing. So if they did a hot water tank, hot water on demand, you can save your $1,100, and then you do your insulation of your attic, that could be $600.
Yep.
And then you also could have the furnace, which is $150 to $350. And then you could, with those 3 elements, you have your additional $1,000. That's a substantial savings for those elements that will increase your efficiency of your home,
Right.
plus getting new elements that you don't need to worry about dealing with.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, well, that's really cool too, because I mean, formerly, there was 3 that you actually had to pay for. I mean, really, there's no house where you wouldn't benefit from that sealing of those little holes and stuff, right? So, really, people are looking now to really take advantage of that with just 2 of those services, most of which people need, and then the one that you don't even pay for, which is pretty amazing.
So let's talk about costs.
Yep.
So what does it cost for you to come out to someone's home?
So the price to have a home energy evaluation done, our fee is $450. $300 is instantly rebated by Energy Efficiency Alberta, so the homeowner never sees that fee, they just pay the GST on that. So that leaves $150 plus GST. And if the homeowner lives in the city of Edmonton and pays their taxes to the city of Edmonton, then they could get $100 back off that $150 towards paying off that price for the assessment.
Okay, so bringing it down to with the GST on $72.50.
That's right, $72.50.
Yeah, and so we have yet to get our report card back for our house yet, which is going to be really neat to see that.
Yeah.
One of the things that we were talking about, I think, with you and your partner that came out about the gigajoules and what that represents, and
Yeah.
this kind of oompa loompa number, like this word that no one really knows what it really equals to.
Yeah.
And so he had said, and I followed up, I'm a nerd, and so I was looking into that a little more,
Yeah.
about what the energy equivalent of 1 gigajoule
One
is.
gigajoule.
And he was correct to say it's 2 propane tanks of fuel.
Propane.
Propane.
And it's equal to 26 liters of gasoline.
Okay.
Is 1 gigajoule.
So that's in savings. So when you think about savings of what that equals to, it's kind of this, it makes sense that when you're looking at appliances, when you're trying to look at what things use for energy, when they have the rating on it, you can compare what that would be. But when you see savings and see what that represents over the course of a year, because it's based on the year, right?
Correct.
That's what the gigajoule uses. It's interesting to see that measure discussed like that, because now it resonates as being something relatively relatable now.
Right. So that report card that we're going to get, I like to see as a report card. Hopefully ours is good. But does that tell you in defined terms how much money you would save? Should you upgrade to like a high efficiency furnace? Does it have that much detail in it?
It doesn't show that exact number just because the price you pay for gas and electricity is always going to be fluctuating.
Right.
But it will break down how each element in your home uses energy, and then if you do the various upgrades, how much you can expect to save. So
Right.
going from a typical mid-efficiency furnace to a high 96% efficient, you'll save about 30 gigajoules a year. Going from a mid-efficient hot water tank to a tankless unit, you'll save about 10 gigajoules a year. And then attic insulation, for example, will save anywhere between 5 and 20 gigajoules. It depends a lot on the home.
Okay, so it will kind of show us how many gigajoules. Yeah, it tells us how many gigajoules you'll be able to save, and then you can just do your own calculation based on your utility bill to see how much that's costing.
Yeah, that's
All right.
the and so now to get the $100 from the city of Edmonton, they want to keep this information and house it so that they can have bragging rights on how efficient Edmonton homeowners are, I'm guessing, down the line. So you upload your information to the city of Edmonton website, and then you get to see your report card. But then they do put your location, I've seen on their kind of heat map of what it looks like for the efficiency, and it gives little colors for what color you are. Is that now? I'm thinking that if you have a good report card, that is something that could help you when you're selling your house potentially.
Yes.
People would like to see that.
For sure, yeah.
And I also noticed on there that there were a lot of new homes that were being built that were showing it. Like the builders were putting their nice green little, their name with their house and that kind of bragging rights that they're a high efficiency home. That's neat.
Yeah.
Now, how does this change? Now, so let's imagine I get a very poor report card, which is sad. Then I do all these upgrades because I don't like to have a bad report card. But then how do I get off the bad map map looking sad and to look like I'm very happy on that map? How does that happen?
So you could have us out for a second evaluation. This one's a lot quicker. We just model all the upgrades that you've done, and then we'll create a new house score for you, and then that one can be uploaded to the Edmonton City website.
Oh, well, that's really neat. And so if somebody was going to buy a house, they cannot themselves ask to pull a report card or have you in to do on a house that they're going to potentially buy, right? Because it's the homeowner of the existing house that has to call and invite you in.
That's right.
Okay, so that is, we were talking about the differences between a home and value, like an energy evaluator versus a home inspector, and they're very different experiences and skill sets, I'm sure, in both those. And same, the fact that you are licensed to do exactly this. This is a special skill set that you have. So that's really neat.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I do. So your follow-up, because that would be that's a really important comment that you'd want to represent that for people to see on the positive side after you have that done. What's the cost to have you in for that second evaluation?
So our cost for the second evaluation is $250. And then with that, you'll get a brand new Energuy rating, and we'll send you a sticker that you can put onto either your furnace or your electrical panel that will show your official Energuy rating.
That's really neat.
Okay.
So if you are selling your house, or that would be a really great element to see in a home, that you've done the homework on it. Now, I have a question for you. You may not know the answer to this. So if I was selling my house and I did the Energuy, I had you come in and do an evaluation. I saw that these elements could be done, and then but I sold the house. Can the new owners replace it under that plan? Like, can they use? I'm guessing probably not.
Yeah, I'd imagine that they would have to have another energy evaluation done if the homeowner has changed.
Yeah, I was going to guess the same thing, but they would have that information when they bought the house anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
You know, I think this is something that's going to be really picked up on by home inspectors and realtors, because it's one of those things where you're representing a client that's buying a new property. It's hugely beneficial for a purchaser and buyer of a property to actually have that follow-up sticker telling them exactly what it is. So I can see that becoming a very, very common thing to have happen in the real estate market. If I was buying a new home, knowing these things, I would want to know exactly what that is to have a better idea of what my utilities are going to be.
Yeah.
So have you noticed that, down east, where you also have the company?
We haven't noticed it that much.
No?
We don't really play in that market too much. But we do offer kind of a unique look at the home, because usually when you're looking to buy a home, you're looking at things like the kitchen cabinets and the size of the bedrooms, and you're not really looking at things like attic insulation or how old the furnace is or what type of hot water tank you have. So it's a unique look that we can give homeowners.
Yeah, great.
I kind of look at it the same way when we, people get a house inspected, and the house inspector, those guys are real generalists. So they really don't look at anything, they don't guarantee anything. It's basically, here's the site of the line, and they don't really dig very deep. We deal with that all the time in terms of what we deal with mechanical issues, where the home inspector will pinpoint something, but they won't really know what to do about it besides that. And it seems like that would be the same type of thing here, where they can tell you, the home inspector, how much insulation you have in the attic, but really in basic terms. Where you come in and give people a far more detailed report, really telling them much more useful information.
Yeah.
Well, especially with that blower test that you did.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know if home inspectors do that. Do you know, Kevin?
No.
No, that's a really cool thing.
I shouldn't say that. Maybe some do. That's very
Do you know, Matt?
generalizing.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
as
don't
a hey. All right, well, I think that is it. And I want to say that thank you, Matt, for coming. Kevin this week was on CBC News, or CBC News, CBC Radio. And Mark Conley is hosting that morning program. And we have a snippet of that recording that we'll put on our Facebook so you can listen to it. It's a great interview. It promotes the enthusiasm and excitement of having an energy not auditor, but
Evaluator
out to your home and the gains that you experience. Mac was out for about well over an hour at our house. It was probably closer to 2 hours with all the questions and stuff that I had and experiencing that. So it is a really neat thing to have that done in your house. I think for the 7250, it is an incredible thing to have in your toolbox to know about how to gain efficiency in your home, especially if you have anything that's not a brand new house. It's still really cool to have done. And everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Mac, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks
that
for having me.
That was really, really insightful. Have a great weekend, everybody.